In the ancient memory of humanity, long before the rise of empires and the writing of modern history, there lived a story so powerful that it crossed generations, kingdoms, and civilizations. It was not merely a tale of kings and battles, nor simply a legend spoken beside sacred fires. It was the story of duty against desire, truth against illusion, and righteousness against darkness. This was the Ramayana, one of the greatest epics ever composed, written by the sage Valmiki. For thousands of years, its verses have echoed across temples, homes, forests, and hearts, shaping ideals of morality, sacrifice, loyalty, and devotion. At the center of this eternal epic stands Rama, Prince of Ayodhya and embodiment of dharma, the cosmic law of righteousness. Beside him stands Sita, whose purity, courage, and devotion would become immortal. Loyal and fierce is Lakshmana, the brother who would abandon comfort for duty. In distant forests and mountain kingdoms rises Hanuman, whose devotion would surpass even the impossible. And in the golden island kingdom of Lanka rules Ravana, a king of immense wisdom and terrifying pride whose ambition would bring the world to war. The Ramayana is not merely the story of a prince rescuing his wife. It is a spiritual journey through suffering, temptation, loyalty, sacrifice, and destiny. It asks timeless questions. What is true duty? What must a ruler sacrifice for justice? Can goodness survive in a world consumed by power? As kingdoms rise and fall, the answers unfold through love, exile, war, and heartbreak. A timeless journey that continues to inspire humanity even today. In the fertile plains beside the sacred Sarayu River stood the magnificent kingdom of Ayodhya, jewel of the Kosala Empire. Its towering gates shimmered beneath the golden sun, and its streets overflowed with prosperity, discipline, and harmony. Merchants traded silks and spices from distant lands, warriors guarded the peace with honor, and temples echoed with sacred hymns. Ayodhya was a kingdom admired by all, a symbol of civilization itself. Upon its throne ruled King Dashratha, a mighty warrior whose victories had secured peace across the land. Yet despite his glory, a silent sorrow haunted the king's heart. He had no heir. As years passed, Dashratha's fear deepened. Without a successor, his dynasty would end, and Ayodhya's future would descend into uncertainty. In the quiet chambers of the palace, the king confided his despair to his queens, Kaushalya, noble and compassionate, Kaikeyi, brave and ambitious, and Sumitra, wise and gentle. Though the kingdom celebrated its prosperity, the royal family carried a grief hidden from the people. At last, sages advised the king to perform the sacred Putrakameshti Yajna, a divine ritual meant to bless childless rulers with heirs. Holy fires rose toward the heavens as chants echoed through Ayodhya. Priests invoked the gods, and the kingdom waited in breathless anticipation. Then, according to legend, a celestial being emerged from the flames carrying a sacred offering blessed by the divine. Dashratha distributed it among his queens, and destiny itself began to awaken. Soon the palace rejoiced with unimaginable joy. Kaushalya gave birth to Rama, whose calm eyes and radiant presence seemed touched by divinity itself. Kaikeyi gave birth to Bharata, while Sumitra gave birth to Lakshmana and Shatrughna. Across Ayodhya, bells rang, flowers showered from balconies, and citizens celebrated the arrival of the princes. Yet among them all Rama stood apart. From childhood, his wisdom exceeded his years. He showed compassion to the poor, respect to sages, and extraordinary skill in combat and learning. Wherever he walked, people felt peace. Most devoted to him was Lakshmana, whose loyalty became inseparable from Rama's destiny. Together the brothers trained under masters of warfare, philosophy, and statecraft. Rama mastered the bow with effortless grace, but his greatest strength was not power, it was restraint. He never acted from anger or pride, and even in youth, he carried the calm dignity of a born ruler. One day the great sage Vishvamitra arrived at Dashratha's court seeking help. Demons had begun disturbing sacred rituals deep within the forests, spreading fear among sages and pilgrims. Vishvamitra requested that Rama accompany him to destroy the evil threatening the land. Dashratha hesitated in horror. Rama was still young. How could a prince face monsters born from darkness? But Rama accepted without fear. Duty, he believed, stood above comfort. Traveling with Lakshmana and Vishvamitra into the wilderness, Rama encountered the brutal realities beyond palace walls. There he faced terrifying demons who desecrated holy places and preyed upon the innocent. With divine skill and unwavering focus, Rama defeated them, earning the admiration of sages and the blessings of the heavens. The journey transformed him from beloved prince into protector of righteousness. Their path eventually led to the kingdom of Mithila, ruled by the wise King Janaka. The city glittered with celebration, for Princess Sita's Swayamvara had begun. Kings and warriors from across the world gathered for a challenge unlike any other. Whoever could lift and string the mighty bow of Lord Shiva would win Sita's hand in marriage. As Rama entered Mithila's gardens, he saw Sita for the first time. She stood among flowers beneath the soft light of evening, graceful and serene. In that silent moment, destiny recognized itself. Neither spoke, yet something eternal passed between them, a bond that would shape the fate of kingdoms and echo through eternity. The halls of Mithila overflowed with kings, warriors and princes eager to win the hand of Princess Sita. At the center of the court rested the colossal bow of Lord Shiva, so heavy that even the strongest men struggled to move it. One after another, mighty rulers stepped forward only to fail. Some could not lift it. Others collapsed beneath its weight. Then Rama approached. With calm humility, he bowed before the sacred weapon and lifted it effortlessly. As he drew the bowstring back, the bow shattered with a thunderous crack that echoed across the kingdom. The earth trembled. The crowd stood frozen in disbelief. Sita's eyes filled with joy as she placed the wedding garland around Rama's neck. Across Mithila, celebrations erupted in music, dance and divine blessing. Soon Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna were also married into noble families, uniting kingdoms in joy. Returning to Ayodhya, Rama became more beloved than ever. Citizens admired his kindness, courage and wisdom. Seeing the love people held for his eldest son, Dashratha decided the time had come to crown Rama king. The city prepared for grand celebrations. Lamps illuminated the streets, temples rang with prayers, and flowers decorated every gate of Ayodhya. But within the palace, darkness quietly began to grow. Kaikeyi's servant Manthara poisoned the queen's thoughts with fear and jealousy. She warned Kaikeyi that once Rama became king, Bharata would lose influence forever. Slowly, insecurity consumed Kaikeyi's heart. Years earlier, Dashratha had promised her 2 boons after she once saved his life in battle. Now she demanded them. First, Bharata must be crowned king. Second, Rama must be exiled to the forest for 14 years. Dashratha collapsed in grief. Bound by honor, he could not break his promise. When Rama learned of the exile, he showed neither anger nor resistance. Instead, he calmly accepted his father's command. To Rama, dharma, sacred duty, stood above personal desire. If exile preserved his father's honor, then exile would become his path. Sita refused to remain behind. She declared that a wife's place was beside her husband, whether in palace or wilderness. Lakshmana too vowed never to abandon Rama. Together they prepared to leave Ayodhya forever. The departure shattered the kingdom. Citizens wept openly as Rama removed his royal garments and dressed in simple robes of exile. Mothers cried from balconies, warriors lowered their heads in sorrow, and even nature itself seemed to mourn. Dashratha watched helplessly as his beloved son vanished beyond the city gates, his heart breaking beneath the weight of regret. Soon after, Bharata returned to discover the terrible truth. Horrified by his mother's actions, he rejected the throne and traveled into the forest to bring Rama home. But Rama refused, insisting that duty must be fulfilled. In tears, Bharata placed Rama's sandals upon Ayodhya's throne, ruling only as caretaker until his brother's return. And so Rama, Sita and Lakshmana disappeared deeper into the endless forests, leaving behind luxury, power and certainty. Ayodhya fell silent, waiting for the day its rightful king would return. The halls of Mithila overflowed with kings, warriors and princes eager to win the hand of Princess Sita. At the center of the court rested the colossal bow of Lord Shiva, so heavy that even the strongest men struggled to move it. One after another, mighty rulers stepped forward only to fail. Some could not lift it. Others collapsed beneath its weight. Then Rama approached. With calm humility, he bowed before the sacred weapon and lifted it effortlessly. As he drew the bowstring back, the bow shattered with a thunderous crack that echoed across the kingdom. The earth trembled. The crowd stood frozen in disbelief. Sita's eyes filled with joy as she placed the wedding garland around Rama's neck. Across Mithila, celebrations erupted in music, dance and divine blessing. Soon Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna were also married into noble families, uniting kingdoms in joy. Returning to Ayodhya, Rama became more beloved than ever. Citizens admired his kindness, courage and wisdom. Seeing the love people held for his eldest son, Dashratha decided the time had come to crown Rama king. The city prepared for grand celebrations. Lamps illuminated the streets, temples rang with prayers, and flowers decorated every gate of Ayodhya. But within the palace, darkness quietly began to grow. Kaikeyi's servant Manthara poisoned the queen's thoughts with fear and jealousy. She warned Kaikeyi that once Rama became king, Bharata would lose influence forever. Slowly, insecurity consumed Kaikeyi's heart. Years earlier, Dashratha had promised her 2 boons after she once saved his life in battle. Now she demanded them. First, Bharata must be crowned king. Second, Rama must be exiled to the forest for 14 years. Dashratha collapsed in grief. Bound by honor, he could not break his promise. When Rama learned of the exile, he showed neither anger nor resistance. Instead, he calmly accepted his father's command. To Rama, dharma, sacred duty, stood above personal desire. If exile preserved his father's honor, then exile would become his path. Sita refused to remain behind. She declared that a wife's place was beside her husband, whether in palace or wilderness. Lakshmana too vowed never to abandon Rama. Together they prepared to leave Ayodhya forever. The departure shattered the kingdom. Citizens wept openly as Rama removed his royal garments and dressed in simple robes of exile. Mothers cried from balconies, warriors lowered their heads in sorrow, and even nature itself seemed to mourn. Dashratha watched helplessly as his beloved son vanished beyond the city gates, his heart breaking beneath the weight of regret. Soon after, Bharata returned to discover the terrible truth. Horrified by his mother's actions, he rejected the throne and traveled into the forest to bring Rama home. But Rama refused, insisting that duty must be fulfilled. In tears, Bharata placed Rama's sandals upon Ayodhya's throne, ruling only as caretaker until his brother's return. And so Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana disappeared deeper into the endless forests, leaving behind luxury, power, and certainty. Ayodhya fell silent, waiting for the day its rightful king would return. As Rama and Lakshmana wandered through forests and mountains in search of Sita, destiny guided them toward the kingdom of Kishkinda, land of the Vanaras, the mighty monkey warriors. Hidden among towering cliffs and ancient caves, the kingdom was divided by conflict and fear. It was here that Rama first encountered the being who would become his greatest devotee and most loyal ally, Hanuman. Hanuman approached the princes in humble disguise, yet from the moment he spoke, Rama recognized something extraordinary within him. Hanuman's words carried wisdom, humility, and devotion untouched by pride. The meeting felt less like coincidence and more like destiny finally revealing itself. The bond between Rama and Hanuman became immediate and eternal. Hanuman pledged his life to Rama's service without hesitation, seeing in him not merely a prince, but the embodiment of divine righteousness. Hanuman brought Rama before Sugriva, the exiled ruler of Kishkinda. Sugriva had lost his throne to his powerful brother Vala and lived in constant fear. Rama agreed to help him reclaim his kingdom in exchange for assistance in finding Sita. Soon a fierce battle erupted between the brothers. Vala possessed immense strength and seemed invincible, but Rama struck him down with a single arrow, restoring Sugriva to the throne. Grateful beyond words, Sugriva summoned vast armies of Vanaras from every corner of the earth to search for Sita. The monkey warriors spread across forests, deserts, mountains, and oceans seeking clues. Time passed and despair began to grow among them. Then at last they discovered vital information. Sita had been taken across the sea to Lanka. Before them stretched an endless ocean impossible for ordinary beings to cross. Fear silenced the army. None believed they possessed the strength to make such a journey. It was then that Hanuman was reminded of his forgotten power. Wise elders spoke of his divine abilities hidden beneath humility. Slowly Hanuman realized the greatness sleeping within him. His body expanded like a mountain, his eyes blazed with determination, and the winds themselves seemed to answer his spirit. Standing upon a cliff beside the roaring sea, Hanuman prepared for the impossible. With Rama's name in his heart, Hanuman leapt into the sky. The earth shook beneath the force of his jump as he soared above crashing waves and storm-filled clouds. Sea creatures rose from the depths to witness the miracle. Mountains bowed beneath his shadow. Demons attempted to stop him, but Hanuman overcame every obstacle through courage and intelligence. At last the golden towers of Lanka appeared upon the horizon like a city forged from fire and sunlight. Lanka was magnificent beyond imagination. Enormous palaces, jeweled gates, towering fortresses, and streets illuminated with wealth. Yet beneath its beauty lurked darkness, arrogance, and fear. Moving silently through the city under cover of night, Hanuman searched tirelessly until he finally discovered Sita imprisoned within the Ashoka grove. There beneath sorrowful trees sat Sita, pale from grief yet unbroken in spirit. Ravana continued pressuring her to become his queen, but she refused him with unwavering strength. Hidden among the branches above, Hanuman watched her suffering with tears in his eyes. Gently he descended and revealed Rama's ring as proof of his identity. For the first time since her abduction, hope returned to Sita's heart. Hanuman assured her that Rama would soon come for her and destroy Lanka if necessary. Before leaving, Hanuman chose to measure the enemy's strength. He unleashed chaos throughout Lanka, destroying gardens and defeating Ravana's soldiers with terrifying power. Eventually captured and dragged before Ravana's court, Hanuman fearlessly warned the king to surrender Sita and seek forgiveness. Ravana, blinded by rage and pride, ordered Hanuman's tail to be wrapped in cloth and burned. But the punishment became Lanka's nightmare. Hanuman escaped his captors and leapt across rooftops with his burning tail, setting the golden city ablaze. Flames consumed towers, palaces, and war halls as panic spread through the kingdom. The night sky glowed red with destruction while Hanuman roared Rama's name across Lanka. At last he returned across the ocean to Rama and the waiting Vanara army. Bowing before his lord, Hanuman delivered the words that restored hope to every heart. Sita lives. The news of Sita's survival ignited determination across Rama's growing alliance. Yet between them and Lanka stretched the vast ocean itself. To rescue Sita, an impossible path had to be created. Under Rama's guidance, the Vanara armies began constructing the legendary Ram Setu, a bridge across the sea. Massive stones were carried by countless warriors, and according to legend, rocks floated upon the waves through the power of Rama's name. Day and night the army worked together, united not by fear but by faith. Slowly the impossible became reality. At last the bridge stood complete. Thousands upon thousands of Vanara warriors marched across the ocean toward Lanka while war drums thundered through the skies. Rama walked at the front beside Lakshmana and Hanuman, their eyes fixed upon the island fortress where Sita waited. Across Lanka, Ravana prepared for battle within his towering palace. Though wise counselors begged him to return Sita and avoid catastrophe, his pride refused surrender. Even his own brother warned him that destruction was approaching, yet Ravana's arrogance had become stronger than reason. Soon the greatest war of the Ramayana began. The fields outside Lanka erupted into chaos as Vanara warriors clashed against monstrous demon armies. Mountains were hurled like weapons. Trees became clubs. The sky darkened beneath arrows, fire, and magical weapons capable of shaking the earth itself. The sounds of battle echoed across oceans and heavens alike. Ravana unleashed his deadliest champions against Rama's forces. First came his son Indrajit, master of illusion and dark warfare. Using invisible weapons and celestial powers, Indrajit inflicted devastating losses upon the Vanaras. Even Rama and Lakshmana struggled against his attacks. Soon after emerged Kumbhakarna, Ravana's gigantic brother whose immense size and terrifying strength devastated entire armies. Warriors fled before him as though facing a living mountain. The war reached a heartbreaking turning point when Lakshmana was struck down by a deadly weapon and collapsed upon the battlefield near death. Rama's grief overwhelmed him. For a moment, victory itself seemed meaningless without his beloved brother. Only one cure existed, a sacred herb growing upon a distant mountain far beyond the battlefield. Without hesitation, Hanuman soared into the night sky once more. Unable to identify the herb among countless plants, he lifted the entire mountain and carried it back across the heavens. The healing medicine restored Lakshmana's life, and hope returned to Rama's army. At last the final confrontation arrived. Rama and Ravana faced each other upon the battlefield surrounded by destruction and fire. It was more than a duel between warriors, it was a collision between two visions of power. Ravana possessed unmatched knowledge, strength, and ambition, yet his pride had corrupted everything he once represented. Rama fought not for conquest or glory, but for justice, duty, and the restoration of balance. The battle shook heaven and earth. Ravana unleashed divine weapons capable of destroying worlds, but Rama countered them with calm focus and righteousness. Arrows illuminated the sky like lightning. Mountains trembled beneath their power. Finally, guided by divine wisdom, Rama released a sacred arrow aimed at Ravana's heart. The mighty king of Lanka fell. Silence spread across the battlefield as Ravana collapsed beneath the weight of his own pride. The golden kingdom trembled. Though evil had been defeated, victory carried sorrow. Ravana had once been a great ruler, destroyed not by weakness but by arrogance and uncontrolled desire. At last Rama entered Lanka and reunited with Sita. Yet despite their long-awaited reunion, shadows still lingered between them. The war was over, but another painful trial had yet to begin. After the fall of Ravana, the people of Lanka bowed before Rama in respect and relief. Sita was finally brought before him after months of suffering and separation. Yet whispers had already begun among soldiers and citizens alike. Questions arose about Sita's purity after living within Ravana's palace. Though Rama loved her deeply, he understood that a ruler's life belonged not only to personal emotion but also to public honor. To silence all doubt, Sita stepped into a sacred fire and called upon Agni, the god of flames, to bear witness to her purity. The fire surrounded her but caused no harm. Agni himself emerged and declared Sita innocent, untouched in heart and soul. The heavens rejoiced, yet the pain of suspicion left invisible wounds upon both Rama and Sita. With the war complete, Rama, Sita, Lakshmana and their allies prepared to return home aboard the celestial Pushpaka Vimana, the magical flying chariot once owned by Ravana. As they soared above forests, rivers and mountains, memories of exile flooded their hearts. 14 years of suffering, sacrifice and war were finally ending. Meanwhile in Ayodhya, Bharata still ruled only in Rama's name, patiently awaiting his brother's return. The kingdom had counted every passing year. When news spread that Rama was coming home, joy exploded across the city. Lamps illuminated streets and homes in celebration, creating rivers of light that stretched through the night. Flowers covered every doorway, and music echoed from temples and palaces alike. These celebrations would later become remembered as the origins of Diwali, the festival of lights. At long last, Rama entered Ayodhya once more. Citizens wept with happiness as their rightful king returned beside Sita and Lakshmana. Bharata placed the kingdom back into Rama's hands, fulfilling the promise he had protected for 14 long years. Rama was crowned king in a ceremony of unmatched grandeur. Sacred waters from holy rivers blessed the coronation while sages chanted prayers for peace and prosperity. Thus began the era remembered as Rama Rajya, a golden age of justice, harmony and righteousness. Under Rama's rule, the weak were protected, truth was honored, and prosperity spread across the land. Yet beneath the glory of victory, sorrow quietly remained. The scars of exile and war could not disappear completely. Rama carried the burden of kingship heavily upon his heart, knowing that duty often demanded painful sacrifice. And slowly, among the citizens of Ayodhya, rumors about Sita began to rise once again. The greatest battle of Rama's life was not yet over. As whispers regarding Sita's time in Lanka spread among the people of Ayodhya, Rama faced the cruelest dilemma of his life. Though he knew Sita was pure, he feared that public doubt could weaken faith in the throne and the ideals he represented. Torn between his duty as king and his love as a husband, Rama made a devastating decision. Sita, pregnant and unaware of Rama's true pain, was sent away into the forest. Abandoned beside the wilderness she once crossed during exile, Sita faced heartbreak beyond words. Yet destiny guided her once more to the ashram of the sage Valmiki. There, surrounded by peace and sacred wisdom, she found refuge. In time she gave birth to twin sons, Lava and Kusha. Far from Ayodhya's palace, the boys grew beneath Valmiki's guidance. They mastered warfare, music, scripture and morality, inheriting courage from Rama and strength from Sita. Yet they remained unaware of their royal lineage. Valmiki taught them the story of the Ramayana itself, and the twins learned to sing the epic with extraordinary beauty and emotion. Years later, during a great royal ceremony in Ayodhya, Lava and Kusha arrived and began reciting the Ramayana before Rama's court. Their voices carried sorrow, devotion, and truth so deeply that the entire kingdom fell silent. Rama listened in amazement as the boys narrated his own life. His victories, sacrifices, exile, and heartbreak. Slowly realization dawned upon him. These were his sons. The revelation shook Ayodhya. At last Sita was invited before the royal court to prove her purity once and for all. But after enduring years of suffering and judgment, Sita no longer wished to defend herself before the world. Instead she turned toward the earth itself and prayed to Mother Earth to receive her if she had remained pure in heart. The ground trembled. From the earth emerged a divine throne, and before the eyes of gods and mortals alike, Sita disappeared into the embrace of the earth from which she had once been born. Rama stood frozen in grief as the woman he loved vanished forever. No victory, throne, or glory could ease the pain of that loss. Though heartbroken, Rama continued to rule Ayodhya with wisdom and justice. His reign became legendary, remembered as the ideal kingdom governed by righteousness and compassion. Yet the sorrow within him never truly faded. His earthly mission had been fulfilled, and the time eventually came for Rama to depart from the mortal world. Walking toward the sacred Sarayu River, Rama left behind the kingdom he had protected all his life. According to legend, the gods themselves welcomed him back to his divine form as Vishnu, preserver of the universe. The age of Rama ended, but his story became eternal. The Ramayana survived not because it tells of war, but because it speaks to the deepest truths of human existence. It is the story of family tested by fate, of sacrifice demanded by duty, and of individuals struggling to remain righteous in a world consumed by fear, temptation, and pride. Rama became the eternal symbol of ideal conduct and moral leadership. Sita embodied strength, dignity, devotion, and inner purity even in suffering. Hanuman showed that true power comes not from ego, but from selfless devotion. And Ravana reminded humanity that knowledge and greatness alone cannot save a soul corrupted by arrogance. Across centuries, the Ramayana has continued to inspire kings, poets, saints, and ordinary people alike. Its lessons remain timeless because the battle between righteousness and darkness still exists within every human heart. Every generation returns to the epic searching for wisdom, courage, and meaning. And as long as humanity continues searching for truth, justice, and righteousness, the story of Rama will endure forever.